The following is a presentation of 4-Star Sports Media. Welcome to the Germantown Village Wine and Liquor Studios. Germantown Village Wine and Liquor. They have single barrel whiskeys you can only find in their store. Go by and see Stephen Plunk and tell him 4-Star sent you. Now, it's time to get to the point with your hosts, Wes Pruitt and Brandon Bumgarner.
Get your tickets outside, it's going down tonight. This is our game, just don't quit it, man. This business do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues, 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 get them boys the blues. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues.
Hello, Memphis fans, and welcome to The Point. We got Willie B, Brandon Bumgarner, Nathan Wilson. I am Wes Pruitt. We're going to talk all things Memphis like we always do here on The Point. It's an exciting week for Memphis fans. A lot of action going on this week. Guys, I'll start with this first question. What are we looking forward to most in Memphis sports this week? Brandon, I'll start with you.
Honestly, getting through this week because I feel like crap.
I understand. Nathan, what about you?
I mean, honestly, it's going to be the SMU Memphis game. After SMU coming off a loss against Houston, there's a good chance that Memphis could also upset SMU too. So that's one game I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Well, not to kibosh what you just said, but I know that you want SMU to remain, well, you wanted them to remain undefeated. So we'll get to your prediction later, Nathan, on the Memphis game. Will, what about you, man?
Yeah, I don't want to, I guess, just jump in the same boat, but I am looking forward to that SMU game, even though they did lose to Houston this past weekend. It's still a big game for Memphis. They're going up against a team with one loss. That'll be big. You've got the Memphis Tigers, Lady Tigers, actually. They're tipping off against King University on November 4th, so that'll be good. It's an exhibition game, but that's the start of their season. So that'll be something to look forward to because they actually have a pretty big game. Their first, I guess, regular season game of the year is Xavier on November 9th. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to really look forward to with Tigers and, Grizzlies, but all Memphis sports right now. And even, not to mention – I know we don't really cover it too much on this page, or at least with our show here, but the 901 soccer team, I'm not sure if many folks keep up with them, but they've been doing really well considering we've only had them here for a few years. They're actually having a damn good season. So just something else to throw out there if anybody wants to follow them for a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you, man. I mean, including 901 FC and Memphis Redbirds for that for that matter, Memphis sports right now, I feel like every year it's hot. Every year there's eyes on the city of Memphis. 2 years ago, around this time, there were a lot of eyes on the city of Memphis because College Game Day was here for the SMU game. Lo and behold, 2 years later, we play on the same day.
2 years ago to the day.
Yeah, to the day, 2 years ago. When you look at this SMU game, we're going to get into it now. Right now, SMU came off a Houston loss, but when you look at this team and look at these two matchups, I ran some numbers. I ran some things here. When Memphis picks up over 407 yards in a game, we're 3-2. The Tigers right now have turned the ball over 15 times. That's 4 times more than SMU.
It's the worst. It's the 7th worst turnover differential in the country.
Yes, that was my next point, actually. When you look at this Memphis team, I wrote about it in an article a few weeks back, the 2 T's. Turnovers are killing us right now, guys. Turnovers and tackling. Now, we fixed the tackling part of it. But once again, turnovers seem to be the Achilles heel for this football team. So when you look at SMU coming to town, it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. It's going to be early. Brandon, I'll come to you first. What do you think was the most important thing for the Tigers in this off week coming into SMU?
Getting healthy. And I don't know if you're fully there yet. Hennigan's still lingering. He hasn't practiced 100% so far from what Silverfield said. So, still wary of that.
Yeah, and last week we had Peter Parrish start the game against Central Florida. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. We had a bye. When you look at Peter Parrish, Will, say we do have to go in to this game with him at quarterback, do you expect to see some different things out of him this week?
I would certainly hope so. I mean, the intermediate and short passing game, really didn't seem to be doing much for him in that last game. So, I mean, use what you got and air it out and just try and do what you can to keep up. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how SMU responds, obviously, to the loss last weekend. I know in kind of like some of the pre-show discussion, we were sort of batting around some of the names for the Texas Tech job, and obviously Sonny Dykes' name is in the running there. So I mean, that's a distraction. I'm sure his players are just like us, or just like anybody else. They see what's on social media, they see what pops up on Google. If you pop in Texas Tech job, or you pop in Sonny Dykes' name, the first articles or first things that pop up are obviously things like that. So that's a little bit of a distraction. I mean, they're still a 7-1 team, but I mean, it's going to be a tough game one way or the other. But it'll be interesting to see how we do.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go back to last week and you look at that SMU Houston game, it came down to that kickoff. That kickoff at the end, the Houston ran back. I don't think anybody sniffed the guy. Nathan, we know Memphis has a very dangerous special teams unit. We really haven't seen it a lot this year. Is that something that you expect to see Memphis to try to exploit against SMU this week?
I mean, I definitely think so. After like you going back to that Houston SMU game. I mean, special teams is always, you never know what's going to happen on special teams. But with SMU, I think that exploited them big time in their special team unit. And I think Ryan Silverfield, I'm sure watching game film of it, I'm sure he's going to find a way to exploit it, just like Houston did on that game-winning touchdown. So it's going to be something to watch. So hopefully Memphis can exploit. And I mean, I'm sure SMU has fixed any issues they've had after that Houston game, but there's still that chance that they can still get upset, because that Houston loss, they were not expecting that, dude.
No, not at all.
That was, like I said in our college pick'em Saturday, I thought that SMU would go undefeated and Cincinnati be undefeated, and they were going to make a big thing for College Game Day for the American League for those two teams go at it. But after Houston pulled off the upset, you could just see that SMU was just shocked.
Yeah,
they couldn't believe it.
They were defeated for sure.
So just like in the SEC, where anything can happen in college football, period. I mean, this will be at home, so the fan base, I know from Memphis, is going to show up, and I think
they won't.
You don't think they will, Bum?
I think we're going to have 20. I think we're going to have 20,000 people at the game on Saturday.
Yeah, they may announce like 24,000.
Yeah, I I bet they may announce 26 or something like that. But I think Brandon's right. I think you're going to see the same 20 to 25,000 people there that are there every week. I mean, once again, we talked about it earlier this season. You can show up for the SMU or for the Mississippi State game, but then you don't show up for
They
any
didn't even
other
show
home
up for
game.
that, Wes.
Well, true.
I mean, there was 40,000 people. There should have been 60.
Yeah,
You're
I agree.
missing 20,000 seats right there. It's embarrassing.
So does that not further the argument for a smaller venue? You know, I mean,
It does, and part of the argument is also with this whole new Simmons Bank thing. You go in there with it, and you're like, "Hey, let's remodel the stadium and take 20,000 seats out of there," which would make a lot of sense. But
yeah,
and you'd have to chair back the whole thing. If you chair back the whole stadium, that takes 2,000 or 3,000 seats out of the equation automatically.
yeah,
I'd extend the press boxes down a little bit.
yeah, that would be
Make
nice.
it look a little bit better. Just to give it a cleaner look. But, yeah, no, Memphis fans don't care about this football team. It's basketball season to them, which is unfortunate because this team is still fighting to make a bowl for the 8th straight year. But, yeah, you've kind of lost all hope as far as these Memphis fans being like, well, I'm all in on football this year.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of all in, what's it going to take for this Memphis team to be all in against SMU this week? What are our keys to a Tiger victory? Brandon, I will start with you.
Play calling, drawing up plays that are actually going to work, and quit dink and dump passes. Don't run the ball down the middle when people are loading the box. Actually take attempts down the field. I mean, that's how you're going to win the game.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Vincent just said Brandon is spitting facts. Jeff, thank you very much for watching, man. We really appreciate all your support here at 4-Star Sports Media and the Point Podcast. Will, I'll come to you. What do you think is the keys to a Memphis victory?
So the keys, or at least what I see the keys being for this game as far as achieving a victory, it's going to be limiting SMU's points. I mean, they're scoring about 42 points a game. Also, too, we've got to limit our turnovers. You know, that's been our Achilles heel all year. And SMU has 48 points this year off of turnovers alone. So they're going to capitalize on that. Not to mention, if they get into the red zone, which they probably will because they score in the 40s most every game, they're 82% in red zone scores. So they're going to put some points up if they get into the red zone. 62% of those, 21 out of 34 attempts are touchdowns, 41 out of 44, 93% field goals. So, I mean, they're going to put points up if they get down there. So keeping them out of the red zone, keeping them out of field goal range, limiting what they're able to do on offense if you're able to, because I know their quarterback's been putting up some pretty big numbers this year. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. They're just going to have to execute. They're going to have to show up on defense. And, you know, like Brandon said earlier, hopefully attrition, hopefully health, you know, will play into this a little bit. Maybe you get lucky and you see Sam get back out there on offense and he can start slinging it around to some of these guys. Because if it gets to that point, at least with the way the defense has played this year, you know, that may be your only chance of winning this game is boat racing SMU to the end and just hoping that you can pull out, you know, a win against a 7-1 team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you just alluded to it, is kind of keeping that offense off the field. I think one of our main things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to establish a running game and stick to it. It doesn't matter if you're down 7 points or 10 points. Turn around and hand the ball off. Work some clock. Set up the pass. I mean, that's one thing with this Memphis team. You know, run the ball to set up the pass. I mean, the run sets up everything else. And you've got a plethora of running backs back there. And if you include Peter Parrish, he's another running back. So you've got to get that running game established and give Peter Parrish some confidence to when he does throw the ball, there's not 20 guys right on it. I mean, you've got to do something different to make something happen. I mean, our offensive line has got to play better.
Yeah.
Got to play better for us to be successful in this game or hell, any game for that matter.
Well, one thing too, I mean, and I know I didn't mention this, I mentioned it earlier, but I put this down on my notes earlier for a keys, in the keys to victory. I can only hope that this whole Sonny Dykes deal maybe kind of gets into the heads of some of their players. Because, I mean, that kind of thing, it really does weigh on kids these days, I think, when you start seeing your coach looking maybe, or not even looking, but if you start hearing their name mentioned in other jobs, it plays into these kids' minds. I mean, they committed to play for that guy at this school, and all of a sudden you're hearing your coach's name mentioned, in the coaching search in another school. I mean, that may be a factor, but then again, it may not. It's just something I guess you could probably rest on if you wanted to look for a little extra motivation and a win.
Yeah.
Well, you're exactly right. Like, these kids don't commit to schools anymore; they commit to coaches.
Exactly.
So, if Sonny Dykes is out of here, or at least these kids are hearing that he's out of there, it's going to take a toll on them a little bit. I mean, yeah, they're still kids; they'll get over it. But, I mean, like I said, these kids commit to the coaches, not the schools anymore, which is unfortunate. I hate to say that, but that's just part of the truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with Will and Bum on that as well, because when Patterson left, two recruits decommitted from him after that, because it wasn't the fact they were going to TCU and playing for TCU; it was who they were going to go play for.
Yeah.
So this whole recruitment thing, a lot of fans need to understand that these kids, it's like Baum said, they're not going to play for the college; they're going to play for the coach that's at that college.
It ain't the jersey.
No,
it's not
the jersey.
It's the guy that came and sat in their living room and told them, "Hey,
I mean,
I'm going to get you somewhere. I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to give you the ball, or make sure you're out there hitting people."
I mean, let's be honest. If it was for the jersey, then everybody would go to Oregon so they can get new uniforms every freaking game.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
you're right. It's and I mean, I hate to be that guy and be like, well, maybe doubts crept in their program, but I mean, let's also think about this. Last year against SMU, had that wide receiver for them not got hurt, and by the way, he's back. He'll be playing Saturday. Had that guy not got hurt last year against Memphis, I honestly believe they would have put 70 on us. We couldn't stop him. We could not. He's number 9. I can't think of what his name is. He broke his leg or something, but he's back, and that guy's a weapon. And just like Will said, this Malachi quarterback they've got is slinging it. The defense is going to be key, as it is every week, but the defense is going to have to tackle well and not get gashed, both in the run and in the passing game. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Saturday. 11 a.m. kickoff, ESPN 2, I believe. I could be wrong on that. ESPNU, sorry.
Number 9. You're talking about number 9 for SMU, correct?
Yes, I believe it's number 9.
Bo Barker, 6'1" wide receiver.
If I'm correct, that's the guy that got hurt last year against us.
Yeah, I believe he. Let's see. I don't know what his injury was, but
I thought it was Danny Gray.
Let's see.
Whoever it was, that guy's back, and I'm telling you, if our defense does not during the week, if we didn't put a red jersey on that guy and make sure we know where he is every play, we're nuts, because he can light you up and light you up quick.
Well, that's the thing about SMU guys. I mean, their quarterback, he's the top scoring quarterback right now.
Yeah.
I think it was the last thing I heard. Is he's the top scoring quarterback. I mean, he's got some weapons on that offensive side. So to try to throw him off, I mean, it's going to be a tough thing for Memphis defense to do. But I mean, I believe Memphis has they had coming off of a bye week. I believe that was. I'm hoping that's a that helped them out a little bit to try to look over some more game film on this.
You had
SMU
a bye
team.
week and an extra day because you played UCF on a Friday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had time to prepare for this SMU team. So hopefully Ryan Silverfield comes in with some a different strategy than he had with UCF and everything. So
yeah, most definitely. Well, let's get to our predictions for this game on Saturday and any hot takes that we may have. Nathan, I'll start with you, man. Give me your prediction on SMU Memphis.
I mean, I said it in the college pick'em that I wanted for the undefeated for the SMU and the Cincinnati game to be both unbeaten teams. Of course, that's not happening after that upset over Houston. I know it's going to be at Memphis, and I'm going to give Memphis credit here. I'm hoping that they can come out and do something, but I mean, to be honest, guys, this is going to be a tough matchup. This is going to test everything with that defense. This is going to test the offense. I mean, especially if Parrish plays.
Yeah.
He's got to – the one thing he's got to do is take that UCF game and put it behind him.
Yeah.
He can't think about the interceptions he thrown. He's got to go and focus on a different strategy with his SMU team. Because let me tell you, this SMU team, they're coming at Memphis pissed off.
Oh yeah.
You know, after that loss. So, I'm gonna have to stay with my pick. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to stay with SMU, man.
Okay.
I mean, it's a tough match.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I know.
tough,
I
but
understand completely. Brandon, we'll come to you next.
SMU.
Okay. You know, it's the fan in me wants to pick Memphis. I do.
I'm the same way, Wes.
But
I'm the exact same way.
It's torn because I think a lot of it rides on whether Seth Hennigan plays or not. If Seth Hennigan plays, I'm taking the Tigers. If Peter Parrish plays, I'm taking the Mustang.
And that's what I'm getting at, Wes. I mean, if Hennigan plays, that gives Memphis a better chance at competing against SMU. But if
I will
Parrish comes
say the
in,
line started at -7 SMU and it's moved to -5.5.
Yeah.
It is moving, and I would imagine it'll probably move again before kickoff, I would assume. You know what? Give me Memphis in this game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very close. Give me Memphis in this game, 34-31. I say we'll win on a field goal, which is crazy because we don't even kick field goals anymore. Will, what about you, man?
So, man, I'm about like the other two guys here. You know, as much as it pains me to say it, I mean, looking at this matchup, them coming off their first loss of the season, you know, they're going to be hungry. You only hope that even coming off a bye week for the Tigers, they're not hopefully a little rusty. You know, I mean, sometimes it can be, you know, it can be the magic elixir that heals a team or maybe gives some guys a little bit extra time to heal up and get healthy. But I don't know. I mean, I think that SMU's looked really good. I know the lines come down a little bit. Memphis is catching 5.5 right now. I don't think I would even take those points. I could see them losing by 10 plus, unfortunately. But I mean, you know, I think it would be a different story too. As much as this may sound like the fan in me as well, or a little cliche, but you know, players, regardless of last year being maybe an outlier because fans weren't there, players feed off fans. You know, they feed off atmosphere, and you know, I think having gone, actually, you know, I went to that game, the game day game with SMU here, and saw that and experienced it. You know, my wife and I went just by ourselves as a date night, and that was incredible. I mean, that place was rocking. It was the craziest I've probably seen it in 20 years. Yeah, and I mean, you just seeing that once, and for whatever reason, you can't seem to, implore people to show up again and replicate it, or at least halfway fill that place. I mean, it is sad. It's disappointing. And those players, I mean, they're on the sidelines, they're looking at the field, they're playing the game, but they still got to feel it, and they still got to look around and see it. So, yeah, I mean, even with SMU coming in, I'm like Brandon. I mean, I think I'd be surprised, especially with the early kickoff. You'll be lucky to get 25,000 in there. They may call it 25,000, or tickets sold, but you ain't gonna have that many people in there.
Well, it's like this, guys. I mean, this weekend, the college football rankings came out, and I don't know if y'all have looked at them today, but Cincinnati's not in the top 4.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They got Georgia number 1, Alabama number 2, Michigan State 3, Oregon 4, Ohio State 5, Cincinnati 6. 6. So, and speaking of the American League, the College Game Day is going to be. They chose to be at the Cincinnati Tulsa game.
That is going to be an absolute just drumming by Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to
Could
drum
be.
Tulsa.
Well,
I
that's
think
what I'm
they
saying. Well, they chose it over the A&M Auburn game.
Yeah.
And I think what's going on is they're trying to hype up this Cincinnati team. But Cincinnati, like I said, I think that they are about to get exposed. I think, and that's why I'm saying SMU is going to be my pick to expose the Cincinnati team. Because if anybody watched that Tulane game, I mean, it was tough. It was tough to watch.
It was,
So.
most definitely. And you know, another thing that talking about players and how they feed off the fans, let's not forget that SMU game last year was after almost a month of being off due to COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think the Tiger team has forgot that. They didn't play their best game, and I don't think they've forgotten that. And I hope that Silverfield and this staff has pounded that on them pretty hard this week. Is, hey, let's go make up for last year. Let's go put on a show for our home fans and make up for that game that we shouldn't have lost last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But Saturday is going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be there covering the game for 4 Star Sports Media. Bum will be there as well, doing his normal tailgate thing. Maybe some pictures, hopefully. But yeah, Tiger football. It's been a lot of fun this year. We've had some ups, we've had some downs, but we're still Tiger fans at the end of the day, and we're still going to support these players and coaches to the best of our ability. But yeah, Saturday is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to jump to a short break real quick, but when we come back, it's all hoops. Memphis Tigers men's and women's, and also Memphis Grizzlies. We'll be right back.
Hey fans, did you know that 4 Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, the 4 Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4 Star Sports Media.
Welcome back, Tiger fans, Memphis fans, I should say. Guys, the Memphis basketball team had a game last Sunday, and the head coach of the other team was a very familiar face to Tiger fans. Andre Turner and Lane College came to FedEx Forum last week. Tigers came away with a 88-49 victory. Will, I'll start with you. Give me your take on how this team looked compared to game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, they look pretty good. I mean, I think they're starting to kind of establish who they want their starting 5 to be, or at least I hope they're sort of feeling that out. You know, they'll be getting into regular season play here in a couple days. You know, coming off that win, it was 88-49. I think Landers, Nolly, and Bates both had good games. They sort of led the team, or seemed to lead the team. And Monty was really facilitating a lot. You know, he seemed to pass up early on in the game. He passed up a few opportunities where he could have obviously taken shots and you know, taken the ball into his own hands, put points on the board, but he passed it, you know, maybe threw an extra pass in there. And just like I said, I mean, he was a facilitator. You know, he was assisting these guys into scoring, whether it be DeAndre Williams or Lester Quinones. So I mean, it's good. It was good to see him get in there and get some work. Obviously, I think everybody was hoping for that in that first game. Obviously, Landers too. You know, he was kind of up in the air. Had a little bit of some personal reasons, or I think some infractions or whatever they were talking. I can't remember what they were talking about exactly, but Yeah, I mean, seeing all those guys get some work. You had Nolly, Timberlake, and Minot combined for about 34, 35 points off the bench. So, I mean, it's great to see some bench scoring. I think chemistry is going to be a big deal with this team throughout the entire year. So it's just going to be, Penny and that coaching staff feeling these guys out, kind of getting an idea of how each five, group of five, or maybe you throw four guys in there with one of your guards, just rotate these guys in and out. I know one of the things I read, he said it seemed like the more people he got involved, the less chemistry there seemed to be. I think some of that gets lost when you get too many people in there. Some of the guys kind of lose a little bit of chemistry. Maybe they're just, coming on and off the bench left and right. They're just not gelling like they were in that first game. But I mean, it's still 88-49. And granted, you got to take into account your opposition. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about this team. I think it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could watch any of this Tigers basketball team right now and be unhappy to be a Tigers fan at all. You got to be stoked.
Yeah, I mean, I think, 88-49 victory over Lane College. You take it, obviously, all day. Brandon, let me ask you this, man. How exciting is it to see just three guys on our bench combined for almost 40 points?
It's nice, but those guys that came off that bench won't be on that bench long. Landers Nolly will be in the starting lineup eventually. What I was really excited about was the turnovers they forced. I mean, if you're putting a team over 40 turnovers in a game, I don't care if they're D1, D2, or D3, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
20 in the first half, yeah.
Yeah, 20 in one half. It's unbelievable. You just can't argue against it. And they did the same thing against Lemoyne, and I believe Lemoyne had like 35 turnovers for the game. So this defense is just incredible. I think the offense is going to be super hyped up this year. I don't think that's going to win us the games particularly. I think the defensive stops and the defensive play is going to win us our games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the defense, Nathan, Penny has been pretty upfront about it. He's told everybody, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pressure you. Whole game, we're going to pressure you. You're going to run. Will alluded to it earlier in the season when we were talking about Tiger basketball. He said he thinks this team's just going to run you to death. Part of that is the press. Part of that game plan is putting the press on them and making them tire out quicker because it takes more work to get up the court. Nathan, this defense from Memphis basketball is nasty. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so you're right. This full court press that Penny will be putting on these teams, it is strictly you have to be in, and coming from somebody that played basketball and everything, it is one thing to go against it. It will tire you out. You will be gasping for air because you have to be in the best shape of your life to have to go against a team that's going to run a press on you the entire game. And I think that's what Penny's doing. I think it's a smart strategy for him to do because a lot of mistakes can be made. You talk about fast break offense. This is how you get it right here with that press defense.
Yep.
Turnovers will be made. Mistakes will be made. I mean, the list goes on and on of everything that could happen when you're going up against a press defense. And the Tigers, I think, and it's smart for what Penny's doing and running that. And he's got these guys in, I would think, great shape to do it. And I think we're going to see a Tiger team that's what they're going to depend on their defense is to run that press, at full court press, and he could even turn into a half court press. It don't matter.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is, as long as you run it correctly, you can get turnovers off of it, quick baskets. I mean, you could really extend a lead with this defense that Penny's planning on working with. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this is going to be great. And to all the opposing teams, they're going to have to find a way to not make mistakes in this because it's going to be tough, and Penny's going to make sure that mistakes will be made for the opposing teams during this press coverage.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's and that's what Penny wants. Penny wants you to make that mistake. He
Well,
wants that quick. He wants that quick and easy bucket off of turnover. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. When you look at this Memphis team, Will, next Tuesday night we take on Tennessee Tech at home, 7 p.m. It'll be on ESPN Plus for all of you that want to watch the game. Will, I guess this would be the first. Is this the first
regular season
regular season game? So you got Tennessee Tech at home, then you come back next Saturday and play North Carolina Central. Then you've got that St. Louis team coming to town the following Tuesday. I think when you look at the Tigers in this November schedule, we've talked about it. I don't see why we lose a game.
Yeah,
I really don't. I mean, you got Virginia Tech and the NIT tip-off. That's probably going to be your toughest.
That'll probably be their first test. I see them rolling through November pretty easily for the most part. I mean, it would have to be a major slip up for them to lose to either their first couple opponents on their regular season schedule. As long as they've got the rotation figured out to some extent, I mean, they've got enough guys in their top 10 players to rotate and keep these guys fresh throughout the game. So like I mentioned, and you mentioned it too, running these other teams up and down the court won't be any struggle for them. So, that's what they're going to do. They're going to run, they're going to play fast, they're going to turn teams over. And I think that's going to be, their keys. Really, I know we were talking about keys to victory in the football game earlier. That's going to be the Tigers basketball team's keys to victory this year. Just being able to play faster than other teams and be able to keep fresh guys on the court and just run people up and down the court and force them into mistakes. Force other teams into making mistakes, get the ball back and just run it back down, put the ball in the net. It doesn't. They don't have to necessarily just drain threes all game or rely on outside shooting. If they're running and transitioning like Penny wants them to, all these fast break opportunities are just going to be layups where they're just ready, set up. All these other guys are going to be dragging back down the court, trying to set up for some sort of offensive inbound. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's going to be some teams, even that St. Louis. You're talking about St. Louis. That's a team that perennially is one of the slowest playing teams in the country. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to keep this Memphis team slowed down. And if they can't, those would be some tired players by the end of that second half for sure.
That's a very intriguing game to me, just because of the two styles that the two teams play. We're Oregon and they're Iowa. I mean, as far as football, you know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Brandon, we're getting ready to jump over to women's basketball, but real quick before we do that, talk a little bit about the Larry Finch statue that was unveiled.
Yeah, so being at that whole ordeal was just really special for everybody that was there. You could just tell from the people that were there, his former players, the fans, the people that knew him, his wife, how much he meant to those people and what type of influence he had on those people. The mayor got up there, made it, gave him a proclamation that entitled it Larry O. Finch Day last Thursday, which was really cool. And, everybody was saying this was long overdue. No, it wasn't. That's exactly what Elliot Perry said. Elliot Perry said it's perfect timing. You look at who the head coach is now, and the type of man that he is compared to Larry Finch, and how much Larry Finch rubbed off on Penny Hardaway. Excuse me. It was just a really special thing to be a part of. You could tell how much it meant to Penny and Elliot Perry and all of his former players. David Vaughn was there. Andre Turner was there. It was just a really special moment to be there, and I was very glad to be there with the people who knew him the best and loved him and supported him until the day he died.
Yeah, it's man, I tell you, it's Larry Finch was a special man. I mean, I grew up watching him at the tail end of his coaching career. I grew up watching it. I mean, some of my favorite teams. Chris Garner is a guy that I've always just idolized. Just that dog mentality, and I feel like Larry Finch not only meant a lot to his players on a basketball level, but also on a personal level. I really think Larry was a dad. Was a dad figure to a lot of these
Father
kids.
figure.
Oh yeah, most definitely a father figure to a lot of these kids that may not have had that figure in their life that they could look up to and go to with other issues. But what he did for the city of Memphis as a person, as a high school player, I mean, as a college player, I mean, everything was just classy. I mean, that's when I think of Larry Finch, I think of class. That's the first word that comes to mind, and I think that unveiling of that statue and the entire event as a whole epitomized his class. And I was really glad that Brandon, you got to go. I think that was a very cool moment as a Tiger fan, and especially for you, Brandon, as a Tiger fan that didn't get a chance to see Larry. You know what I mean? You didn't get a chance to really see what he did.
No, I didn't, but I do get to see the ramifications of what he did with those young guys rub off on me, and not only just me, but people my age.
Yeah, and that's really what I love about that entire moment. Let's jump over to Lady Tiger basketball. Brandon, I'm excited for the first time since I believe Joy Lee McNillis was the head coach of the University of Memphis basketball team. And just so you know, that was like late 90s. This coach as you've talked about, Brandon, she brought her entire staff from Wright State. That tells me right there she wants to win and win now. I am very excited about this team. I think they're going to be really good. They're fun. They're going to be fun to watch. I can tell you that. Watching that Wright State team last year when they knocked out Arkansas in the tournament, they're a good, disciplined basketball team. They got their first game. Will mentioned it earlier. They got their first game Thursday night, 7 p.m. at El Marone Fieldhouse against King University. Not sure who that is. Can't honestly say I've never heard of that school. Will, we'll start with you, man. With this Lady Tiger basketball team, does this new coach have you pumped up? You're on mute, buddy.
Yeah, Coach Merriweather seems legit. I'm excited to see what she's going to have these ladies doing. You obviously got the exhibition game coming up Thursday against King University. Like you said, I'm not overly familiar with them, but only a few days later, you've got your first regular season tip-off against Xavier, which will be a big opener. That's also at home. So, I think they've got a lot of talent. I've looked through their roster. From what I see, I think they're going to have a pretty solid team. I'm going to be anxious to watch them and see how they perform this year.
Yeah, they also are going to be right up the road from me in Little Rock on November 18th, a Thursday night, 6:30 tip-off. Catch that game. That might be a lot of fun. They're playing at Little Rock, so that'd be kind of cool to run up there and catch that game too. When you look at this women's basketball team, Brandon, I know you've talked to Coach a few times. What are you looking forward to the most, Brandon? Just seeing some fight out of this team?
Yeah, seeing competitiveness out of our women's basketball team for the first time in my life. Coach McFerrin didn't know how to get these girls to compete. I can tell you right now, and just reading off of Coach Merriweather and her staff's body language, they know how to get these girls to win, not only just compete. So it should be fun. Thursday. Hopefully, I'm feeling better by then. I was going to try to go to their exhibition game, kind of give a rundown for next week, but Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to go win the conference championship right now because I don't know how good they will be. But I do think they can contend, and that's all we can ask for at this point. And once we get 2-3 years down the road, then we can start being like, okay, excuse me, let's win some more.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I'm excited about this women's basketball team, and I'm excited that the coach is excited. Like, does that make sense? What I'm saying? I mean, I feel like when the old coach was here, it was just basketball season started. I mean, like, she only showed up at Memphis Madness. That's the only time she ever came to a game, I feel like, unless they happen to have a Tiger men's game and a Tiger women's game where they play UConn or some crap at the Forum.
Yeah, so I sat courtside when we played Tennessee in 2018, and Melissa McFerrin's seats were right next to mine. She left after the first 5 minutes of the game.
Prime example, right?
Which I get. You're a basketball coach, so there might have been something behind that, but that it just wasn't a good look.
No, it's not a good look, man. It's not a good look at all. But I tell you what, I am looking forward to this Memphis men's and women's basketball season to get cranked up. It's going to be a lot of fun here on The Point. We'll be covering it rooter to tutor, top to bottom, man. We will get it all taken care of. Speaking of getting taken care of, go by and see our sponsor, Stephen Plunkett, Germantown Village Wine and Liquor. They are located at 7730 Poplar Avenue, right there in the heart of Germantown, Tennessee. Or you can give them a phone call, 901-737-3174. Tell them The Point sent you by there. They've got some single barrel whiskeys that I have been told are incredible. You can only get them in their store. Go by and see Stephen Plunk. He'll get you taken care of for sure. Guys, let's jump over to the professional side of Memphis sports. That would be your Memphis Grizzlies. It's time for a little Grizz talk. I wish I had some kind of like Grizzly growl for that moment. The Grizz come in right now 4-3 on the season. Got a nice win against Denver last night, as a matter of fact. Won 106-97. John Morant went off again, 26 points. The last 3 games, he's had 30, 20, and 26. It's insane. The Grizzlies play again tomorrow night against Denver again, 7 p.m. tip-off. Brandon, how do you feel like the Grizzlies are doing so far this season? They're sitting at 4-3, which is not a bad record.
Excuse me again, dang. No, it's not a bad record. It's not a good record. I really think that I'm starting to get aggravated with Jaren Jackson Jr. He's healthy. Like, there's no reason for you to keep taking threes when you're not hitting them. You're 7'1", dude. Quit being soft. Go down in the paint and bang around. I know you're scared to get hurt, but you're not going to get hurt unless you put yourself in danger. It's aggravating to watch him play, especially since we just committed $105 million to him.
Yes.
But all in all, John Morant's been great. The biggest surprise on this team so far has been Desmond Bane, who has been very proficient on the defensive side and awesome on the offensive side of the ball. I believe he's averaging like 18.8 points a game, and he's got one of the higher defensive ratings in the league this year. I wish I could be nicer about Jaren Jackson Jr., but I can't. I'm just going to call it what it is. He's not playing good basketball, and I know a lot of people will be like, "Well, you're early in the season." I don't care. Be ready for this season. That's your job. You're supposed to be ready for the season.
You're a professional.
You're a professional. Look at John Morant. John Morant's ready for the season.
Yeah.
Desmond Bane was ready for the season. Steven Adams was ready for the season. Everybody on the roster, top to bottom, ready for the season, except for Jaren. But Dylan Brooks should be back next week, so I won't have to keep pouting and moaning about Jaren Jackson Jr. and how bad he's playing. Hopefully Dylan will cover up how bad he plays, and we can go from there.
Well, here's my thing with Jaren Jackson, and Will, I'm coming to you next. How do you get 3 fouls during the national anthem? I mean, I feel like that's what he's doing. I feel like the national anthem, he's getting 3 fouls. Like, he starts the game with 3 fouls. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Will, come to you, man. Give me a breakdown of this Grizzly team so far.
Yeah, honestly, I think they've looked really good. Granted, they're 4-3. They've faced some really tough opponents thus far. Teams that have made it really far in the playoffs. Teams that have had MVP caliber players on them. So, it's not like they've gone up against some slouch teams that don't have any players that are perennial losers. They've played some really tough opponents thus far. I agree with Bum on Jaron. He's definitely kind of been 50-50 with me so far as just what I've seen. He's coming off of being he got an extension, and it was a pretty healthy one considering his performance thus far as a Grizzly. So it's been a little disappointing. But I'm off this last game, just a couple of people to kind of highlight some key up and comers. I think Tyus Jones, he's somebody to look for moving forward. He had 17, 8, 4, and 2. That's 17 points. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals in this last game against the.
Yeah, he has been playing well. Will's completely froze up. Yeah, you're right. He has been playing well. Also,
You know who's not froze up? This guy. I know he's froze, but I'm not froze.
Also, 4-Star Sports Media and the Point Podcast will be live and in color Sunday afternoon, noon to about 4 over at Sidecar Cafe right there on beautiful Witten Road in Memphis, Tennessee. And a special someone that happens to be in the room with me right now, Brandon Bumgardner, is going to have a very special, touching moment where he is going to pick his NFL team because he's no longer a team favorite of the Denver Broncos. Thank you, Will, for joining us. Brandon, talk a little bit about Sunday and your decision.
Yeah, this has been coming for a long time, guys. The Broncos just don't care about winning football games. So I don't care about the Denver Broncos. I really haven't had a significant connection with the Broncos, other than Von Miller, and that was killed off yesterday. Since Paxton Lynch, he was the last significant connection I had with the Denver Broncos, other than Peyton Manning, before him, and Tim Tebow. I'm going through my Broncos fandom now, but we've just gotten to the point where I have fully given up on the Denver Broncos, and I am no longer a Denver Broncos fan. I am selling all of my Broncos gear. We're putting it on Facebook Marketplace at some point this week. There's not a lot of it. I'm going to keep my Broncos sweatpants just because they're comfortable. But yeah, this team is very disappointing, and I'm done with them. So I'm going to announce my semifinalists tonight, right here, right now, on the show. And then Friday we will cut it to 5, and then Sunday, out of those 5 will be chosen. So tonight, your semifinalists are as follows. Give me just one moment, and I will pull them up for you. I have
roll,
them
please.
written down.
We need a drum roll.
Starting off, we have the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are just there because I have a lot of friends who are Titans fans. I really believe that they have a bright future going for them. There is a possibility of them being picked at some point. And then second off, we have the New Orleans Saints, just because of how close they are to the city of Memphis. New Orleans is a very grit and grindy type of swagger behind it, just as the city of Memphis. Your third team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the history behind their organization is a big reason why I could cheer for them. Your fourth team.
A lot of Memphis connections on that team, too. Sorry, go ahead.
There's only one Memphis connection on that team. Well, two if you count Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
But Arthur Millett and Mike Tomlin.
Well, you got Butler still there, is he not?
Well, who?
Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator, played at Memphis.
I don't know.
He is.
And I know Anthony Miller's on their practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
But the fourth team, surprise team, an early favorite right now. Zach's going to like this. The Dallas Cowboys. Lots of Memphis connections all over the place. Tony Pollard, Quentin Bohannon, and Cedric Wilson. All three of those guys, good players. The Cowboys are right there. Then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, I'm going to stay a Tom Brady fan no matter which team I pick. I have a obligation to him for the rest of his football career. So catch me outside with these hands if you have a problem with that. We're at 5 teams so far. Your next team is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have 3 Memphis players on their team. That's basically the only reason why I would cheer for them. Then you have the Las Vegas Raiders, who did no favors for themselves today with this whole Henry Ruggs III situation.
That's so sad.
It's very, very sad. Prayers for that family who lost their lives in that car accident because he's an idiot.
Well, here's the thing. And I don't mean to go on a rant here. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. You've got millions of dollars. Why are you behind the wheel? Why do you not hire somebody to drive you? It makes no sense to me.
Stupidity, man. That's the only answer. Then your next team, and the final team on this list, is the Minnesota Vikings. The reason I like the Minnesota Vikings is they have a very, very young core behind a Justin Jefferson and a Dalvin Cook, who I could honestly could see myself supporting the rest of their careers. But listen, guys, my recruitment is still open. We're not out of it, and I do think that we can kind of salvage something. Look, the Broncos aren't even completely out of it. They're just in the parking lot of the wrong stadium, kind of out of it. As Ryan Ladley said last night, I have an insider on Twitter. His ad is at Ryan Ladley. That is RYNE Ladley. You can follow him for more updates on the developing stories.
He is constant.
What's going on?
Constant updates.
Yes. So there we are with my recruitment. As I said, right now the Dallas Cowboys are the early favorites. But you can absolutely excuse me, dang. You could absolutely see me Sunday make my selection. And fun fact, on Twitter last night, Rick Haygood announced that the first person, I'm not telling this decision to anybody, Rick Haygood announced the first person to guess which team I am converting to on Sunday will get free lunch at Sidecar Cafe if you come out and listen to us. So you have a 1 in 32 shot of getting the right. Hey, that's better odds than winning the lottery.
It's great odds. It really is. Come on out, guys. Everybody come out Sunday. I will be there. Nathan, Brandon, Will be there as well. The entire Point show will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We put it on once. We're going to come back and do it again. Sidecar Cafe, Whitten Road, Sunday, noon to 4. Great atmosphere. They've got the biggest TV wall I've ever seen in my life. Great food, great service. Rick Haygood and company do an amazing job. Sidecar Cafe on Sunday from noon to 4. We'll be talking SMU football game. We've got some guests lined up. May even have some other special guests that no one knows about yet. You never know what's going to happen. It's going to be live. We're going to have a lot of fun. Check it out. Sunday, noon to 4, Sidecar Cafe with the Point Podcast and 4 Star Sports Media. For Brandon Bumgardner, Nathan Wilson, Will Bass, I am Wes Pruitt. Thank you for watching tonight, and we are out. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get the boys the blues. My city known for rock and roll, good barbecue and soul food. We got rules though. When you come through, don't fool with us. We done told you we struggle daily. Crime rate is crazy. Get wrong's one thing you don't do. My guys are Grizzlies and Tigers, baby. We animals and we don't lose. We give you the blues when you come to us. Be ready for war. We lacing up. You better bring home.